I'm just so worried that children will click on this video, and I need to tell you that this is not a video for children. I hope you don't have unrestricted access to YouTube. If you scroll down, the pinned comment will be a link to pbskids.org. It's safe for you there. Go there, click on that. There's videos, there's games. Leave the YouTube. That's good for the algorithm telling people to leave. But please do, okay? There's this show on the Disney Channel called Bluey. It's about the Healer family, the dad Bandit, the mom Chili, the titular Bluey. She's 7, she's a girl. Her little sister Bingo, who's 5. They have adventures. It's a cute show. It's really like nicely animated. Like, it looks beautiful. I think the standout is the music. It sounds beautiful, and the stories are fun, and like kids have a good time and they laugh when they watch it. The thing is that this show is massively popular. Like, Bluey was the most watched show in 2024. Not the most watched on the Disney Channel, the most watched. Like, they have all these toys. There's a Bluey experience that I've been to in Boston at like this store called Camp. And like the kids go and they enter the Bluey house. It's huge. It's a massive, massive show. And I'll repeat that I think the show is very good. It's a good show. The show is good. But when you do start watching, you realize that a lot of the content, the storylines of the episodes are geared towards adults. It's not really a kid show. It's like a show made for adults that kids also like. And so that brings me to my question about Bluey. We will not answer this today, but it did kind of start the whole topic of this video, which is Bluey incredibly popular, the most popular show of 2024 because kids like it? Or is Bluey incredibly popular, the most popular show of 2024 because parents don't mind watching it? It has storylines that are geared towards them, and they get to hold the remote. Would Bluey be more popular than the Tots show or Kari Carson or Blippi or whatever if the children were the ones holding the remote? Are children getting a lot out of the infertility episode or the one where Bandit realized how hard it is to make friends as an adult and feels kind of embarrassed and weird about it? Like, is that what the kids want to see? Let me tell you about my favorite episode of Bluey, which is called Baby Race. I have wept full tears every single time I've seen this episode. Like, really, it's not a joke, and I'm going to try to tell it to you, and it's going to be difficult for me. So the episode, this is just highlighting how it's for parents and not for children, by the way. This is proof right here. I'm going to cry. I'm so sorry. The episode Baby Race is a flashback to when Chili is a new mom to her firstborn, Bluey, and they go to like a play group for other babies. And Bluey's friend Judo is also a baby at this time, and she's like hitting all these milestones, like first in the group. Like, she's the first to crawl, she's the first to sit up, she's the first to walk. And Bluey is hitting them like right on target. Like, she's definitely not delayed or anything. She's just not first. And Chili feels like this is a failure of her parenthood. As a mother, it is her fault that 3 of the babies in playgroup are crawling and Bluey is just like butt scooting, right? And we've also learned that Chili's mom is dead. So she doesn't really seem to have anybody to talk to about this. Like, she talks to the dad Bandit, but like he's just like, no, it's fine. She's doing great. Look at her go. And she like internalizes this as a failure on her part. And then the episode ends when Chili skips playgroup because it's just too hard to watch the other kids do the things. And and another playgroup mom comes over and just like looks Chili in the face. And she's like, this is so embarrassing. She looks Chili in the face and she goes, you're doing a great job. You're a great mom. Kids go at their own speed. It's not a race. And then the end of the episode is Bingo being like, oh, did I ever learn to walk? Kids joke, great. And it cuts again to like Chili doing dishes, looking out the window. And behind her, Bluey is like toddling up. And Bingo goes, she must have seen something she wanted. Okay. All right. That's like the 3rd time I've tried to do it. It's so embarrassing. That's what I'm saying. Bluey is for adults. It's a good show. But like, what is that episode for? A 4-year-old? Does a 4-year-old need to learn that parenting is hard? Is that a lesson they need to learn? It's not like I don't think a 4-year-old should watch that. I think it's totally fine. It's great that kids see stories that aren't specifically for them. That's totally fine. I'm just saying, given the opportunity to choose between a show where we watch a young mother struggle with like the loneliness and competitiveness of babyhood versus watching the show where the Hot Wheels cars fight ghosts, are kids really picking Bluey? Are they? I just don't think so. Of course, like there are jokes in the show for kids. Like that whole storyline is like interspersed with like Bingo being a little weirdo and like Bluey butt scooting. Like a dog scooting on its butt will make kids laugh. But like it's for grown-ups. It just is. And I get that. Like the music, like I said, is really good. And so if I have to go on a long car ride and I have to play kids' music, am I going to pick the Elmo slide to listen to over and over and over? Or am I going to play like a whole album of just like vibe music from a kid's show? I'm going to pick Bluey, right? I understand it's popular because parents like it. I find that really interesting. So if we made a little diagram of shows, you would have adult shows. And I don't watch like a lot of TV. The Sopranos. I watch Severance. That's for grown-ups. What about the one where rich people go to a hotel resort on an island and I think commit murder? I don't really know the plot. That's a grown-up show, right? And then you have shows that are overlap, that like adults and kids enjoy, like Bluey, or Star Trek TNG, or the first couple of seasons of The Bake Off. And then you have shows that are just for kids, that adults just don't want to watch, but kids really like. Your Paw Patrols, your Go Dog Goes, your Mickey Mouse Racers, or whatever Mickey Mouse is. You know that they cancel that show every 4 years so that the writers don't get residuals or something? It's not crazy. Anyway, I think this is a great setup. Right? You have the shows that are just for adults. You have the shows that like families can enjoy, but like also like people without children, like, you know, like just everyone can enjoy, but maybe are a little geared more towards like the family mindset. That's great. And then you have shows that are just for kids. I also think that that's great. Hot take. I think children are people and they deserve their own things and their own unique interests. And if that means they're watching Gabby's Dollhouse, I think that that's great and fine. But there is a problem. The issue is trash TV. Of course, there's adult trash TV. Think of something. When I asked you to think of trash TV, did you specifically think of something women watch, like only women watch, like Real Housewives or something? You want to investigate that? You want to think about why like women watch trash, but like the 6 hours of pre-football gossip drama about the players and their girlfriends, that's not trash. That's sports. Or like the podcast where the 50-year-old men pretend to be 30 and talk about how into ancient, totally not gay Greece they are. That's not trash. That's culture. That's intellect. Anyway, we don't have to investigate that. It's fine. That is different than kid trash TV. That stuff is still content that is designed by human beings to be watched. Like the Real Housewives, I agree it's trash, but it has a storyline. And if you enjoy watching that, you're watching it because you're having fun. Like you are following the storyline and the drama, and it is a fun time for you. The same with the football drama about the girlfriends and who's retiring and who might accidentally blow their ACL or whatever. Drama, gossip. Adults understand what that is, and they like it and they watch it, and that's fine. Adults know it's trash when they're choosing to watch it, and that is a choice they have made. Children do not have the media literacy skills to understand that. And also, children's trash TV is insane. It's like AI generated trash, like garbage that wasn't even observed by a human before being shoved into the faces of little tiny children. Or it's the YouTube videos that are like pregnant Spider-Man kickbox Elsa, like just the most garbage thing you can imagine to get an innocent little child to click on it and be like, what is this? So that they can get money. It's a very different evil business than adult trash TV, which is still trash. Do you know what I mean? Like these shows have zero value and they are being predators to get children to click on it and they don't care what happens to the children after. And that's the problem. Children, again, hot take, are people who do not deserve trash media. They deserve good media just like everyone else. And part of modern parenthood is like being actively involved in what your children watch. Because like even on something like Netflix, where there's like shows like Gabby's Dollhouse, where it's like, you don't want to watch that, but it's fine. The kid likes it. It's fine. It's a real show. There's like some garbage, insane stuff. Like Cocomelon, I think, is trash. Just AI generated trash. The words don't make sense. It is garbage and you shouldn't let your kids watch it. But if you let them watch Netflix, you have to be sitting right next to them, observing everything to make sure they don't accidentally wander into 7 seasons, hours and hours and hours about a show where a baby wears a suit or something. Like, you have to be vigilant. And what I would like to say, like, what if? What if there was an app that was just for children that you could trust to be safe? That could be that little space where a kid can just choose what they want to watch and you don't have to have oversight, because you know everything on there is like solid and made intentionally for children with their brains and their futures and how they learn in mind. What if that existed? Oh, it does. It's PBS Kids. Hell yeah, dude. And the thing is the PBS Kids app is free. And you can just download it onto a device and you can hand it, like the remote, to your kid and say, you can watch anything on this. There's no ads. Except weirdly, sometimes there's like a 15-second thing at the start where it's like, this is brought to you by a cruise ship.
This episode was made possible by IKEA.
Proud to sponsor PBS Kids. Like, that's an ad, I guess, technically, but like, it's not an ad for anything. I don't know. That's an ad. I'm sorry, it does have that type of ad. But other than that, no ads. No toy ads. Just fucking kids shows that kids can click around and watch. I think it's amazing. Listen, I'm going to be talking about PBS Kids and how much I love it. That's this whole video. But this isn't an ad. I have not been given any money by PBS. I would never take your money, PBS, but like, I wish you would sponsor me. But also, Bill Nye the Science Guy was on PBS. So you could hire me, just saying. So the framing of this video is that it's really important, of course, that parents are involved in the media their children are consuming. But also, I do think children deserve a space, a spot where they can just do whatever the fuck they want, like safely. Do you know what I mean? And PBS Kids is the place on the internet to do that. If you put them in that app, they can't leave it, but everything on that app is good for them. Everything on that app they can enjoy, and you know that it was made by a human with a child in mind. It was made for them. It was not made to generate money or clicks. And you can't do that on Netflix. You can't let your kid loose on Netflix lest they stumble on a Cocomelon. You can't do that on Prime, because even on Prime Kids, they have all that garbage shit. And also, I don't like how Prime says it has PBS Kids, but when you click on it, they only have like 3 episodes, and then they ask you to buy the PBS Kids shows. I feel like that's some sort of scam, trying to trick children into getting hooked on Amazon early. I don't like that. Why would you watch PBS Kids stuff on Amazon when you could watch it on PBS Kids? I don't understand. Do they put ads on the kids stuff on Prime? I don't know. I don't like that. And then there's Disney, and I generally think that the stuff on like Disney Junior or whatever is made for kids with kids in mind. Like, generally, it seems like they know what they're doing. But you can't put them on the Disney Plus app because like it's mixed with Hulu now, and there's like a bunch of shit that you don't want them to see probably without your supervision. And also there's the whole thing about capitulating to the fascism, so you should probably cancel Disney anyway. You can get all the Disney movies at the library, it's fine. But that's also a reason you can't let your kids go on Paramount Plus. The whole capitulation to fascism, but also like the weird shit on there is mixed with the kids app. And also just don't give Paramount Plus money. They keep ruining Star Trek. I have a whole video about that, but we've lost the plot here. The thing about PBS Kids is it's free and they can hold the remote and you can just let them go nuts. And I love that. Anyway, they also have games. PBS Kids games, 10 out of 10. It's good. All right, this is going to be the actual video now. I just want to talk about PBS Kids and how much I like it. I want to tier rank the current lineup of PBS Kids shows based on my opinion as an adult who views the kid shows, because as I already said, all of them are great and kids like different things and they would rank it differently. I'm going to rank them how I rank them based on how I feel when I watch them. Kids are weird and sometimes they like weird things, but my opinions are so valid and correct. So that's what we're doing. Okay, tier 1 is called I Hate This and It Sucks. Now, I will repeat, it doesn't like suck in that it's a bad show for kids to watch, that it's trash. It's just that I hate watching it. Like, look at this. Do you see this? Do you want to hear what they sound like? No.
Oh, Mom, Dad!
This is the worst thing I have ever seen.
Uh-oh. Yes, which I shall clean up after breakfast.
This is called Sid the Science Kid. It's a combination of these horrible visuals and the voice actors doing like those little kid voices. I hate it. But the thing is, this show is fearfully and lovingly made with kids in mind. This is motion capture. It's mocap.
It allows us to produce animation using live television disciplines. The suit performer has tracking markers and their body movements drive the character's body performance.
This is actors acting, holding puppets, voice actors like...
I wonder why Grandma's glasses make everything blurry for me.
This is intended, I think, it's a Jim Henson joint. Well, not him, his company. It's supposed to look like animated puppets, and I just have to say, just get puppets. There's this show called Splash and Bubbles, which is the same thing. And I just, I hate looking at this. This is awful. Why do we need an animated fish puppet? Like, they already had the puppeteers in the building. Just do real puppets. I don't understand. Also on I Hate This Shit Sucks is a show called Word World. My issue with this is that I don't understand who it's for. It's really softly like low effort animation on like the backgrounds with like these big colorful front facing characters, which is usually how you make animation for like 18-month-old to like 3-year-olds, right? And that's fine. But the context of the show is that they say they want to teach you to read, but 18-month-olds to 3-year-olds are not learning to read. They are very in the stage of like recognizing letters and maybe doing like the ball, you know? Like a plot of this episode will be there's like a cart. And so it's a cart that is shaped like C-A-R-T. And then it loses the T or something and it turns into a car and it has to go find the T. I mean, like, that's fine. But just, I don't think kids who are learning to read, you know, your 5s, 6s, and 7s, want to look at this baby shit. Do you know what I mean? So it just confuses me. It also makes me think about this article that's been going around Blue Sky lately. There was this whole thing in the 90s and 2000s where they would teach people to read by kind of using context clues to take a guess at the word instead of actually sounding out the word and making sure they understood correctly. And people are referencing how like sometimes you will tweet something like, hey, loved the new Frankenstein movie, and someone will respond like, oh, so you support domestic violence? And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? Where did you get that? And it's because people can't read good, but they're completely confident that they can read good, and that leads to them looking like dumbasses on the internet. I'm not sure that that affects this show, though, because while it reminds me of that style of reading education, and this show's from 2007, so that's right. Listen, I got a master's of education in 2012, and we were very specifically, like, we had units on, like, this is not how you teach people to read. Do not tell them to guess based on pictures. This seems like this shouldn't exist in this time period, but I also don't necessarily think that that's bad because, again, it's animated for 3-year-olds, and 3-year-olds are not learning to read. So maybe they're just focusing on, like, the letters and the letter recognition, which would be fine. But anyway, have you heard of the Mississippi Miracle? Good news? What? In this economy? Listen, Mississippi, you've probably heard jokes about how they have the lowest scores in education in like the entire United States, but that's not true anymore. In 2013, a completely Republican government of Mississippi, that's right. Remember way back in 2013 when you couldn't just assume that every Republican was they were just like Republicans. Take me back. But they passed legislation. Let me look up what it was called. Hang on. The Literacy-Based Promotion Pact. And what they did was they spent a bunch of money supporting educators and teachers, providing reading coaches to classrooms. They got the parents super involved. But I think the most important part of this reading pact is the test, which was by 3rd grade, you have to read at a certain level or you will not be promoted to 4th grade. You will be held back. You will get an individualized reading plan. Again, parents are brought in, reading coaches are brought in, and they all work together with the teachers and the student who's aware of what's going on to promote their reading until they can read, right? Amazing, amazing. But you don't go to 4th grade until you can do that. I love this quote from the governor, Tate Reeves. Let me read it to you. Many folks said, look, you can't do that. If you do that, 50% of our kids are going to be held back or 60% of our kids are going to be held back. But we had the exact opposite experience. What actually happened is that we raised the level of expectations and Mississippians did what Mississippians do. They rose up and they met those increased expectations. And like, it's true. It's real. It's called the Mississippi Miracle for a reason. They changed the way they taught reading. They put a test on it and they were like, if a kid can't do it at this point, they need more help and they cannot move forward, which is kind of like the opposite of No Child Left Behind. Thanks, George Bush. We're still correcting that 20 years later. But anyway, the number of kids that are being held back is decreasing every year. Like Mississippi is still approving this. I'm in Ohio actually, and they've also implemented this. A lot of southern states who didn't have like literacy standards are following suit and doing great. Like this is great. Good news. I love it. Okay. Like I said, I don't think this show is bad. I don't think it's going to hurt the literacy of your child because I don't think children who are learning to read would watch it. It's obviously for babies. Anyway, next, Odd Squad. I don't like kid actors. Well, I don't like watching kid actors, but also I just think about how children are exploited and they shouldn't have jobs. Like, children deserve childhoods. Like, these kids, they look like they know what they're doing. They're doing a great job. Like, they look adorable in their little suits. Odd Squad is a show about, like, a government-style organization that goes around to do math. But, like, it could be animated. I don't see, I'm a hypocrite too, because like I don't mind when animated shows are voiced by children, and something like Sesame Street, which has kids on it, like it's just that they're not the focus. I don't know. I don't like to see child actors. I don't think that should exist. So this is quite low on my list. Okay. Next we have Weather Hunters. This is a new one. It like literally just came out. It's about a family of weather hunters. They have a van. What kills me about this is it's got Al Roker as the dad, and I don't want to hear from Al Roker. And a devastating mistake they made is that in the episode, the main episode, the pilot episode, they get this van that was built by the grandfather who's like the main weather watcher, and the van has the grandfather's voice, which is LeVar Burton. And you can't give me the option of listening to LeVar Burton and then taking that away and replacing it with Al Roker, who's older than LeVar Burton, by the way.
Good job! I am pleased to announce that this mobile weather station is now complete.
Whoa! It's Great-Grandpa Wallace's voice again.
I think I don't like Al Roker because TV meteorologists like walk around with the stolen valor, pretending to be scientists. Like, come on, dude. No. Okay, my next tier is just like, these left no impression on me. I've got nothing. I don't know what they're about. I don't know. Skillsville. This is a new one. But what's weird is that it looks like it's 15 years old. Like the animation style looks so old. I don't know what they're doing there. It also looks exactly like Cyber Chase, which is a different show. I don't know why. I don't care for it. I don't know anything about it. Didn't like it. I watched an episode. I don't know. Nothing. I got nothing. And that's another thing I actually really like about PBS. Like, these shows left no impression on me. I don't care about it at all, but kids are weird. And kids might become obsessed with Hero Elementary or Ready, Jet, Go or whatever, and they might love it. And I love that. I love that all these options are available. I don't even have to look at it. I know that it's fine. You can watch it. I don't have to worry about it, but I also don't have to watch it. That's fantastic. My next tier I will call Too Much Lore. Listen, I've actually not watched that many tier ranking videos. I don't really know how they work. Like, why is S the maximum tier? S should be the lowest tier for like shit, right? The shit tier. I'm not going to look it up. I'm just going to leave that in to be embarrassed that I don't know what I'm talking about. My next tier is called Too Much Lore, where I don't like watching them because I start listening to it and I start watching it and I start asking questions about the story or the background, and those questions will never be answered, of course, because it's a children's show. I'll give you an example. Pinkalicious. Why do her parents call her Pinkalicious? Is that her name? She lives in Pinkville. And then I start imagining that Pinkalicious must be inside her head. Like she must be a normal child named like Emma or something. And in her head, she lives in Pinkville. But there's like unicorns and fairies and gnomes. And I'm just like, her parents seem like totally chill about this. And you can't call a kid Pinkalicious. I really hate the name. Or Clifford. That dog's too big. What's going on there? You're letting that dog next to all those children. The dog is too big. And then I start like doing math. Like you see him standing next to their house. And I'm just like, that dog is too big. Similarly to things that are too big, there's a show called Let's Go Luna where the moon hangs out with these kids. The moon comes to Earth and hangs. The moon is too big. And also, if you start looking at Let's Go Luna too long, you start, you know what I mean? Flashing back to your own childhood. Curious George. You letting that monkey around those kids? That monkey will eat that kid's face off. Like, that is a monkey. There's an episode of Curious George. I've seen a lot of Curious George. There's an episode of Curious George where Curious George the monkey and the man in the yellow hat celebrate Father's Day. That man thinks he is that monkey's father. Like, what is going on there? There's Lila in the Loop, which is about the Loop family. I love it. It's a little family. They have two older siblings. The main character, Lila, is the middle kid, and there's a younger brother. And I think they live in the city, which is great. Love to see shows in cities. They own a restaurant, and like they live above the restaurant. Classic. Sounds like it should be a great little fun show about family relationships and sibling relationships and like learning to live together in a small space. Except also there's an alien dog called Stu, and no one talks about how he's an alien. And this alien goes around and like solves issues for the community. Like there was an episode where the power went out, so Stu goes to the grocery store, the dog, the alien dog, and he scans through like the QR code book, which somehow still exists and hasn't been digitized, whatever. And then he is able to scan the groceries for the people like super fast, and he's like, you owe me $38, so that the grocery store can still function with the power out. And I'm just like, all of these people see the alien dog and say nothing. I don't understand. I think this is my pet theory. I don't know if it's true because the show doesn't really say anything about Stu or his origins or the purpose, but I think the show is made with the intention of teaching kids how to think like a programmer, because they give Stu instructions to do the task and he does exactly what they say. And so often they'll have to like iterate through like getting the exact instructions. And like their last name is Loop, so is it like a for loop or something? I don't know. See, I don't want to be thinking about that. I don't want to be analyzing a show like that if it's a kid's show. Like, I can't watch it. I don't want to watch it. The last one is the Dinosaur Train show. Okay, kids love this show. You know why? Kids love dinosaurs, and they also love trains. And I bet you that pitch meeting was just like, would it be crazy? Dinosaur train? The dinosaurs, well, it has a lovely theme song where it explains the plot, but a T-Rex is born inside a nest of like these other guys or something, and they all live together and they learn about dinosaurs, and they get on the dinosaur train and they travel through space and time to visit other dinosaurs. And obviously they have to, right? Because dinosaurs have these millennium-long ages, right? So if you want to see all of the dinosaurs, you do have to take a time travel train to go a million years in the past, right? And like, I get that, but then you start thinking about like butterfly effect stuff, like these meat eaters are hanging out with these plant eaters. Like, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing I do like. Dr. Scott. Dr. Scott is very serious about dinosaur education. He's a human being.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Scott the paleontologist, and this is a Stygimoloch. Hi, I'm Dr. Scott the paleontologist. We used to think that dinosaurs were covered with scales. Hi, I'm Dr. Scott the paleontologist, and this is a Stegosaurus. Well, that's all for now. Remember, get outside, get into nature, and make your own discoveries.
And after the cartoon, he'll come on sometimes and explain real dinosaur facts, which I think are great. And like the show very specifically gives accurate information about dinosaurs, but it's kind of set in like time travel train dance party dinosaurs. I don't know. I don't like to think about it, which is weird again because there's another show called Xavier Riddle where they do time travel. And in that case, I don't mind it that much. I don't really care. But for some reason, dinosaur train, I'm just like, who's driving the train? Who built the train? Who ored the mines to get the metal? And how does it... But we do like Dr. Scott, and Dr. Scott highlights one of the things about children watching TV, which is if you expect a show to be educational, the most important thing is that a parent or a teacher or another adult is involved to like answer questions and ask questions to make sure the kid got the lesson they were supposed to get. That's why you don't like plop your baby in front of Miss Rachel. Like you're supposed to sit and watch Miss Rachel with your baby and then like make sure they're doing like the put it in, you know. Yeah. Tier 4. These are great shows, but there's just like one little thing. There's like one little thing that really takes me out of it. Like it's almost in a great show, but like one little thing. And one of the main things is celebrity voices. PBS is like stacked. All of these shows have like Gilbert Gottfried is on here. SNL comedians.
I'm Kate McCucci, and I play Daisy on the new PBS Kids show, Nature Cat.
I play Hal, the dog, on Nature Cat.
I play the arch nemesis, Ronald.
I'm Kate McKinnon. I play Squeak.
Honor of voicing Nature Cat, the main character on Nature Cat on PBS Kids.
Like, takes me right out of it. We have Wild Kratts, which the reason, like, this is so silly, but like Wild Kratts is currently on PBS. Except I used to watch Wild Kratts, which was called Zaboomafoo or something when I was a child. So watching as an adult, I'm just like, these guys, they're still doing it. And part of the issue is that they look 60 years old. And then it jumps to the cartoon version where they're like spry and youthful. And I think they should take the real human footage out of it. But then you can show the animals. I don't know. They're going to have to sort that out if they want to catch a third generation of children. Okay, so this is Eleanor Wonders Why. And obviously, the science shows are my favorite. And I love Eleanor Wonders Why. First of all, catchy-ass theme song. Eleanor Wonders Why. It was like right in your head. I like the animation on this one. And I think this show does a really good child version of the scientific method. Like she sees something she doesn't understand, she forms a question, she collects data, she looks at the data, and she creates a solution, she tests it, and then she gets an answer, and then she goes to check with an expert. Like 10 out of 10, that's perfect. And I didn't mention this when I was talking about that horribly creepy show Sid the Science Kid, but the science in that show is also incredible. Like it's a preschool version, whereas I would say Eleanor Wonders Why is more of a 6 to 8. Sid the Science Kid is preschool, and they have this teacher who's kind of like guiding them through the science lessons, and it's really good. It's a really good way to teach a kid scientific literacy, how to think scientifically and to solve a problem and get information, and Eleanor Wonders Why is fantastic. And it's beautifully animated, and the songs are bangers, so like why? Why don't I like it? And like this is gonna sound so silly. It's just one little thing. I realize when you are creating a show, you cannot cater to every audience, right? And sometimes culturally, things are just not going to translate. And the thing about Eleanor from Eleanor Wonders Why is that she has a catchphrase. And that catchphrase in my culture is just considered rude, like incredibly rude. She says, "That's so interesting." And like, if I was catching up with a girlfriend and she asked me a question, she was like, "How are you doing?" And I told a story and she just blew me off and was like, "Oh, that's so interesting." friendship over. Like, damn, you asked me, I answered, and now you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, rude. If my child asked me a science question, ignored my explanation, and then goes, that's so interesting, and walked away, I mean, after a couple of times, I would have to pull them aside and be like, bud, you asked me. It is rude to end a conversation by being like, oh, that's interesting, and walking away. Like, you started asking a question, you need to listen to the answer and respond. That's so interesting. Rude, Eleanor. What? Does anyone else feel this way? Am I crazy? Maybe it's like one of those Southern, like, fake nice things where people are like, oh, that's interesting. Like, maybe in California, if someone says that's interesting, you're supposed to take that at face value because they said it's interesting, so they think it's interesting, but not here, babe. When I watch that, every time I was just like, oh, God, Eleanor, that's rude. Why do your parents let you talk to them like that? All right. My next tier is the biggest tier. This is just like good, like generic good show. Like, I don't mind the children watching them by themselves. I can also sit down and enjoy it, and we can have a conversation. We can talk about the show, like as you're supposed to do with a lot of children's media. You're supposed to like confirm they understood the story and talk about the facts and stuff. Great, perfect. The shows have interesting storylines about like groups of children and like interpersonal relationships and like historical facts and like different cultures. Like, it's great, perfect, fantastic. Quality media for children. And I think quality is a really important word when you talk about the success or failure of children's media. I read this research recommendation report here by Professor Sherry Hope Culver, and it breaks down into bullet points, like what it means to be a quality children's show. It's called The Quality Question, Why Children's Media Must Aim High. And like, let's just take a peek at the 15 bullet points really quick. So, number 1, lead with play and playfulness. And this is what I love. Like, you can make an educational kids show, but kids are not going to watch it or learn anything if the show sucks.
Look out, mystery! I can't stop! Sorry, mystery!
Like, it has to be funny, it has to be fun and engaging, it has to have characters that they can see themselves in, they have to have a good time watching it, or otherwise they simply will not watch it. Here are some more. Reflect real kids today, center children's voices, support cultural identity, cultivate an appreciation for diversity and difference, resonate with children's lived experiences. And I think all of these are great. To be a show for kids specifically, I do not think it can be like Bluey, where a lot of the storyline's central focus is parenting and how hard it is, right? Kids want to see kids' lives. They want to see kids all across the world doing different things and being diverse, like whether that's like physical disabilities or different cultures, but they also want to see that those are still kids, right? Real kids' stories, real kids' issues. Otherwise, again, the kids are just not going to watch. They're not going to be interested.
Just because of your skin color?
But that's still really unfair.
An old book. Balto.
And papel picado and skeleton decorations?
My next little group here: convey empathy for others, engage senses emotionally, socially, and developmentally, acknowledge health and wellness concerns. So this is sometimes called social emotional learning, which is a fundamental part of especially early education, but it doesn't go away. Social emotional learning is like a whole thing you do throughout education, and even once you have like a job, because the thing is like humans are social creatures, and we have to understand that we live and work and support other people, and we have to be aware of their feelings and emotions and thoughts, just like they have to do that for us. So shows need to be designed in a way that teaches children how to care for others, so that they can also do that in real life, and they can also understand when someone is not caring for them, and they can recognize that behavior as like inappropriate or negative. It teaches them how to navigate the world in a way that protects who they are, but also supports their community. It's really important. I would love to share with you this screenshot from Blue Sky. Listen, people talk shit about Blue Sky. They used to love it, and now they're at the phase where they talk shit about it. But like, God, there's some good stuff. Okay, so this woman, This is a repost of a Twitter post. Let me read it to you. My son came home with a pre-K report card. I read it and I was thrilled. My husband read it and was baffled. I read it and anchored on the lines that really mattered. He excels quickly in all his math assignments and has mastered the math and reading concepts presented. My husband focused on the extra full page on social emotional growth, commentary, and looked confused the whole time. What does any of this mean? Nothing, I said. Ignore it. And then that evening we explained to our son the lesson that is going to get him through his life. People will put up with many things if you are excellent at math. You're so good at math, we're proud of you. And that was that. God, that's so fucking lame. That's so pathetic. First of all, this loser pays for a blue check and then makes up a fake story to post it to the internet to get fake points. That's so embarrassing. But I mean, pre-K students don't get report cards. They get like performance development sheets that are like pre-K. Pre-K is like 3 and 4 and maybe 5 depending on when your kindergarten start time is, okay? The pre-K report card would be like, student can handle 3 instructions in a row, meaning you can look at a 4-year-old and say, hey, can you pick up your book bag and go hang it on the hook and then grab a drink of water and come back to me? That's the kind of skill they're looking for in a 4-year-old. So the idea that he's super good at math is very funny because like pre-K students definitely do math, but the math is like, which of these objects is taller? Like a math assignment for a 4-year-old would be like a picture of 4 students sitting at a table. And on the table, there are 2 marshmallows on a plate. And the teacher would be like, uh-oh, are there enough marshmallows for everyone? And the kid would look at it and he'd be like, no. And then the teacher would be like, great, check mark, you're excellent at math. Like, it's so embarrassing. But social emotional learning is incredibly important at that age. Like, can you play in a group? If you're having circle time and the teacher requests that everyone be quiet, can you handle respecting your other classmates and sit quietly for 4 seconds? When it's time to jump around and play, are you able to do that with the other friends? Or like maybe you hiding in the background? Like those are the types of things that you would address with parents and want to work on in terms of social emotional learning. Like, do you hit the other kids? Do you bite them? Do you let other kids bite you and not do anything and not tell the teacher? All of that is incredibly important to the development of this poor child's like future. And thank God this kid is in school and can learn that from the teachers because he's obviously not going to get it from his parents who don't understand preschool math. I do think the fact that this woman posted this obviously fake story in an attempt to gain praise is just a beautiful illustration of the failure of her as a person to value social emotional learning, because she would have realized that this story obviously seems fake to a reader. She would have realized that she is the pathetic loser in this story, and she would realize that anyone reading this story leaves only feeling sad for her son, who hopefully gets empathy and care from his teachers because he's obviously not getting it from his shitty parents. But anyway, also in the same vein, there's this show called Carl the Collector, which I don't like watching the show. I don't like it, but I love the animation. Doesn't it look really cool? That's the thing about PBS Kids, supporting art and artists. There's so many different styles of animation, and like some of these shows I think look bad, but some of these look so good. But Carl is like obviously, I guess to an adult, autism coded, and this show kind of highlights like all these other kids, like they're representing different like neurodiverse personalities, and it kind of highlights how you can play with each other when kids have different expectations in play, and how like sometimes because of the way someone likes to play, it means that you don't want to play with them, and that's okay, and you can always come back at another day and play a different game, and how it's important to respect how others want to play while you respect how you want to play. And even if you're not playing together, you can still be friends and you can still be kind, and it's really, really nice. And just to compare the adults who like made a show with that intention to this dumb bitch, like it just makes me sad for the world. It makes me wish more kids watched PBS. All right.
I would totally be able to live on my planet. I call it no noisia. And no one makes fun of me or calls me any names because I never have to wear my headphones.
What I was saying was, wait, where was I? Let me collect my thoughts. Carl's script to Nico. I saw a kid at the library with a tablet like that, but I didn't have a chance to ask him how it works. Can you show me?
Here's another one that's just kind of by itself, something I really like. Let it be a little gritty and a little naughty. I love that for kids.
We're setting up an inside beach. Yeah, an inside beach.
My word! What are you doing?
Rocco, 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 our favorite rock.
I told you not to touch it. You built it all wrong. Did you even read the directions? It didn't fly for 1 second. It's not my fault if you made a plane that can't fly. I told you not to touch it.
So these I kind of coupled because co-watching is a thing I don't think people talk about enough, and I kind of dismissed at the start when I said PBS is a thing kids can go watch by themselves. I do think children deserve a space where they can be like, this is my show, this is my time. I go watch Word Girl, my favorite superhero, and I love it, and that's when I get to be by myself, right? I think they deserve that. I think that's great for them because children are people, and they deserve respect and alone time and their own thoughts and feelings and their own rich inner world. But also, you know, kids need involved parents, and so it's important to sit next to your kid and watch a show and say, what did you think of that? Look at the art style. Isn't it so cool? Do you know what I mean? Co-watching is an important part of making sure that kids are understanding and learning from the media and that, like, it's impacting them in a way that is positive. And I don't really think you have to worry about that on PBS Kids, but it is important. It's just like if your child watches garbage and you're not also sitting there consuming some of the garbage, you're just going to look up and realize your kid had a day off today and they spent 7 hours watching 7 seasons of the weird Boss Baby show where they're wearing little business suits or like some other stupid shit. And also, again, in this category, we have media literacy mentioned, which is so important because it's also a skill a lot of adults don't have. So I'm so glad children's media is starting to focus on it. For example, at the start of this video, I praised Bluey. I said it was a good show. I said I liked it a lot. I said I've bought the albums, I think, and I appreciate the music so much. And I said, there's one thing though, I think it's a show made for adults and not children. That was all I said. And I know, well, I'm going to get comments from Bluey adults, partially because Bluey adults are real weird about Bluey. That is a different video. But also because people have really poor media literacy skills. They see me talking, holding the mic. They're already pissed about that. And they're like, you said Bluey. How dare you say Bluey is bad, even though I did not. I guarantee you right now, there is an adult human watching this video who thinks I am doing a takedown of PBS. Like, yeah, I hate PBS too. I will get those comments. And I don't know what I can do in a video where I've said PBS is the most amazing thing to ever be funded by our tax dollars to convince people that this is just a celebration of PBS. I'm just having fun talking about annoying things adults see when they watch the shows. Like, this is a celebration. I don't know what to do about adult media literacy skills, but it is important that children's shows have at least started addressing the issue. And there are, of course, a bunch of ways they do this. Like, you have Dr. Scott coming on after the dinosaur train and being like, you guys know dinosaurs don't actually dance, right? That's just fun. But also it's the parent's job as well to sit with a child watching a show and be like, hey, what do you think's going to happen? Where do you think this narrative is going? What would you have done in this situation? Like, if you're watching Arthur and the friends are fighting, Buster smashes Arthur's ice cream at the ice cream shop or whatever, like, what would you do in this situation? Who do you think was right? How could they have prevented it? Like, asking questions about the show you're watching, getting your child's opinion, making sure they're understanding the media, but also thinking critically about it. I don't know how to fix it for adults, though. We need to get the PBS Kids show makers to make adult shows with child-level media literacy lessons so adults can understand the text of the things they are watching. But that goes back to the Mississippi Miracle and just the fact that there's a huge fraction of adults my age who are functionally illiterate, which is a much bigger problem. Hoo boy. Okay, the last two I grouped together, reveal the challenges happen, but perseverance builds resistance, offer a hopeful ethos. God, I love that. Anyway, I want to read to you about the end of this report from Dr. Culver. Why should we be concerned about creating quality media for children? Because we know that media is an influential component in children's lives. We may argue about whether it is the most influential or mostly a negative influence or who bears the most responsibility for improvement, but the intersecting point in all of these arguments is the reality that media has influence. It influences what we know, what we believe, and what we value. It does this for all of us, adults and children, but whatever influence it has on adults, the influence is greater for children because children have less critical thinking skills, less overall knowledge, and less maturity and experience to make positive choices about their own needs. Children need us to be the ones to consider their needs first. This is our duty of care as creators and as people that care about children. It is our obligation to create quality media content for children precisely because we know that media is highly influential. The right of all children to be heard and taken seriously is one of the fundamental values of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. Aiming high for quality children's media is the very least and the very best children deserve. Nice. I love it. Okay, anyway, let's talk about the top tier, the very best that children deserve. Okay, my S tier, which for some reason is the best, is I would watch these. Like, oh, the kid's going to dance class, but the show's on. I'm not going to turn it off. Daniel Tiger, but I do think Daniel Tiger is cheating a little bit. Daniel Tiger is it's a Mr. Rogers spinoff, and he's a preschooler, and he lives in an imaginary neighborhood, and it's fine. But I actually think Daniel Tiger is a lot like Bluey in that it's more interested in teaching parents how to behave and interact with their children. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Like, a toddler watches Daniel Tiger, and Daniel Tiger is like, I don't like this type of food. And then the parent is like, try 3 bites and it might taste good. And Daniel's like, I can try 3 bites. I am big. And he tries them and he's like, I don't like it. And the mom's like, but at least you tried it. I'm proud of you, right? And then you're having dinner and you sing the song. Try 3 bites and it might taste good. And they try it. And that's it. That's the reason for the show. Kids really love Daniel Tiger, though, so I don't think it's just for parents. My next one is Peg plus Cat. I don't hear a lot of people talking about Peg plus Cat. It's a show about math. I love math. They sing songs. I really like the theme song. Peg plus Cat. Do 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 do. And it shows how math is important for solving everyday problems, and I love that. I love to see that. I love to see a girl doing math. We need more math heads. Where are my math heads at? So Sesame Street. It's an institution. It's perfect. No notes. Sesame Street. You can watch the old episodes. They're just as good. The kids might not enjoy the older episodes as much as they like the modern episodes. I think it's because the kids look different. Like if you watch an episode of Sesame Street from the 90s, the kids look like they're from the 90s, and I'm not sure that modern children enjoy that as much, but it's still really good. And I love that Sesame Street is broken into these little short segments because a lot like Daniel Tiger, if you are going to show a kid having a frustrating moment for a toddler to understand, you have to shorten it. There's a lot of research into how much media a child can watch and understand, and that length of time increases as they get older. So a 3-year-old, for example, if a 3-year-old is throwing a tantrum in a show because they don't want to eat broccoli, if you want the message of that episode to be try 3 bites and it might taste good, you have to have that kid trying the broccoli within 90 seconds. Otherwise, if your kid's I hate broccoli, and then 11 minutes later they're like, oh, I do have to eat my vegetables or I'll never poop again. That's too long. That's too long of a time. All you've taught the 3-year-old is that if they throw a tantrum at dinner, they don't have to eat their broccoli. So Daniel Tiger, short, tiny segments, right? Sesame Street does the same thing. But because Sesame Street has a theme for their show, it's the letter of the day or the number of the day or whatever, older kids can also enjoy Sesame Street. They can use their media literacy skills to predict what the letter of the day is going to be, and I think that's really fun. Sesame Street is enjoyable for 3-year-olds. It's enjoyable for 6-year-olds. I also still like it. We have my last one, which is the reason I didn't do just a straight up ranking because I couldn't choose between my favorites, we have Arthur. I love Arthur. I think I would have rated Arthur higher than Sesame Street. I fucking love Arthur. I think it's so good. It's the social emotional learning aspect, but for like 8-year-olds. And I just don't think there are enough shows for 8-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? Like 8-year-olds watching Disney are kind of pushed into like that tween market. Like they're pushed into watching Disney sitcoms, which are supposed to be about high schoolers, I think. And 8-year-olds are just like solidly elementary school. Like they're not little kids. They have friendship issues and school issues and homework issues and like even those beginning like relationship issues, but they're 8. I love that Arthur exists, that an 8-year-old can watch an 8-year-old like struggling with a big homework assignment, like a book report, or struggling with their 4-year-old little sister, or how their relationship with their parents is changing as they're moving from like little kid to like actual kid. Do you know what I mean? Arthur is so fucking good. And they don't make it anymore, and I'm so sad, but he still has a podcast. He's still around, and I do think the episodes hold up. I do like it. All right, quality show. Quality content. Fun thing about PBS, taxpayer funded. Can you imagine a better use of your tax dollars than providing safe, entertaining, quality content to children in a world that is trying to steal their attention with AI garbage and gambling toys? Fuck. But these shows were, of course, funded by the Department of Education and also the NSF, so say goodbye. Goodbye. Great. Maybe the kids can enjoy the pictures of the gaudy-ass fake gold ballroom when they're not getting their heads kicked in by ice. Great. We should end on hope, I guess. I mean, Netflix did save Sesame Street. New Sesame Street is still going to come out, but like we shouldn't have to rely on corporations to save public institutions. Kids deserve quality media. They deserve it. They deserve to have a place that they can go without ads and they can watch a show and we can all feel safe knowing that that show was made with children's education and brain development in mind. Do you know what I mean? It has to keep existing. Listen, the PBS Kids app is free. I also think, listen, if you are struggling with ideas for Christmas presents this year and you have like a 6-year-old, I think you could download the PBS Kids app and say that it's for them. I mean, it's free, so it wouldn't cost anything. And just say, hey, bud, this is for you. This is an app for you. All the shows on it are for you. I think they would love that as a gift idea, and it would be free. I think that's great. But if you want to donate to PBS, you can buy like a $5 a month recurring donation or a $60 a year worth, and you get access to PBS, the adult version, with like lots of documentaries and show. And they got a lot of BBC stuff on there. They have Antiques Roadshow. I fucking love Antiques Roadshow. But you can get it with no ads. So I think that's really good. I think it's $60. But yeah. I bought a bunch of their merch to support the team, but also I just enjoy having Sesame Street stuff.